Welcome to Reach the World ASAP. My name is Pastor Scott Griswold, the Associate Director for ASAP Ministries. Sometimes when I tell stories about the national missionaries in Southeast Asia, they must sound like spiritual giants. I have a huge respect for them, but they're ordinary people like you and me. They struggle through the hardships and the loneliness. They have challenges in their family and health, and many of them start young and inexperienced and slowly grow into powerful workers for God. I'm thinking of a young girl from Vietnam that we'll call Boonee. What's her work? Just a volunteer, an assistant to the youth leader in a little church among the ethnic group called Ede. One of those little people groups that must hear the gospel before Jesus returns. Boonee doesn't have it very easy at home. Her mother's an alcoholic, and her dad works for the communist government. It's not a very nurturing environment for any girl, let alone a Seventh-day Adventist. So how did Boonee become a Christian? Well, another young girl invited her to church about 8 years ago. She went to church off and on, and slowly the truths from the Bible seeped into her mind. It was little things that helped her believe that God was real. One weekend, Boonee visited her grandmother about 100 kilometers out of the city. On Sunday, she hopped on the bus to travel back to school. Nobody collected the fare from her, and since she had very little money, that made her so happy she jumped off the bus without her bag. After the bus pulled away, she realized she'd left her bag on the seat, her purse, her cell phone, and most important, her ID was gone. Immediately, she burst into tears and then calmed herself and prayed, "God, you see and know everything. I need my bag, Lord. It's so hard to get a new ID, and I'll have to pay a big fine. If I don't get it back, I can't receive my scholarship at school." What would God do for her? Did he really care? Boonee knew that people in the city, and the bus drivers in particular, seldom bothered to return lost items. That night, she slept most of the time in peace. She just had to keep leaving it in God's hands. In the morning, the idea came clearly: call your cell phone. She thought, I never charge it enough. Surely the battery's dead. The thought came again, call your cell phone. So she did, several times. And finally, the bus driver heard it and picked it up. He said he'd be happy to meet her and give it to her. She was really surprised when he even drove her back to school for free. It was one more little thing to help her know God is real and loves Boonee too. As she went through high school, God continued to draw her into a closer relationship with him. She loved to attend Friday night worship where she could get away from the fighting at home and be with people who loved to study the Bible. All week long, public school filled her mind with all kinds of things, and she needed fellowship and a chance to grow spiritually. By the time she was in college, it was really important to her to live her whole life by God's word. She wanted to give tithe faithfully to God. She didn't even have enough money to pay for her tuition. Could God really stretch her money if she put her trust into him by giving him a whole tenth of what she made? She knew it was right, whatever happened. Her biggest prayers at that time were going into getting good grades so that she could get a scholarship. As hard as she tried, there was still one girl who was just ahead of her. Sure enough, that girl beat her and won the scholarship. Boonee was so disappointed. Lord, I tried so hard. I don't even have money for breakfast sometimes. To her surprise, the girl who won the scholarship turned and said, Boonee, I want you to have the scholarship. It's because of you that I get good grades. You've helped me so much. Boonee couldn't wipe the smile off her face that day. God had blessed both her sacrifice for him with her tithe and her generous use of her time to help her friends. So Boonee fully surrendered her heart to Jesus. She began keeping every Sabbath holy, refusing to go to school on Sabbath. She wanted to start witnessing for Jesus too, but she felt too timid, too shy. One day, her friends convinced her to go out witnessing with them in the youth group. They had a stack of sermon DVDs to give away. The group divided into two groups, and Boonee headed to the countryside about 100 kilometers out. Suddenly, the phone rang. 2 girls from our group have been taken into the police station for passing out DVDs. They won't let them out. Please pray. Boonee's group quickly got back in the vehicle, and they headed straight for the police station. They stood outside and began to pray. Huge dark clouds whipped in. The rain started falling in bucketfuls. It was miserable. But Boonee and her friends were not going anywhere and leaving those 2 girls alone inside. They kept calling other church members around the province to pray for them. Finally, one of the pastors suggested a plan. Boonee, I want you to go in. The government has a law that young girls here can't be kept in the police station overnight. You go tell them to let the girls go home. Boonee was really nervous. I can't do that. I'm too timid. I won't know what to say. Jesus will help you, they said. We'll pray for you. So with a big prayer, she marched in. Suddenly, it was like God touched her, and she spoke with an amazing confidence that completely surprised herself and the police. In fact, she was talking so loudly that they tried to shush her up so she wouldn't be heard outside. The police had been trying to get the two girls to sign a statement that they would not distribute DVDs anymore. Boonee caught the eyes of the girls and slightly shook her head no. The police spoke strongly to her. They questioned her and accused her of interfering. Boonee held her ground and insisted that they'd held the girls long enough and now they must let them go home. She said, if you keep them for 24 hours, you're going to be in big trouble. They got mad and they sent her outside. As soon as she went out in the dark, her courage left her. She took off her jacket so the police wouldn't recognize her if they came out. She was shaking. As she stood there, still wondering what was going to happen to the girls, she said, God, I can't believe how afraid I am right now. Please change me and help me to have the courage like I did in there all the time. Finally, at midnight, the policeman released the girls. They almost seemed kind, working hard to start the girls' motorcycle since they couldn't locate the key. I think Boonee is really brave, don't you? But here's what she said in her interview. Please pray for me. I failed so many times in trying to witness. I really am trying to learn what I need to do, and that is pray much more. When I can do that, it makes such a big difference. Now she and her friend take walks around the community and pray for each household. Some people from those places have started coming to church. After school, she uses her evenings to help other young people study the Bible. She hopes someday her parents will come to love the God that she knows is very real. I am so glad that ASAP Ministries sponsors church planters in Vietnam. I'm really thankful for the many volunteer youth evangelists like Boonee that also come to our trainings and do all they can to help get the gospel to the many unreached people in that country. Your faithful, generous support of national missionaries makes a huge difference. Right now, we have a serious need in this area so that we can supply sufficient fundings to these workers at the end of this quarter. If you'd like to give, please go directly to asapministries.org, click on Give, and then on Give Once or Monthly. There you'll find the category National Missionaries. May God impress you with what to give at this important time. So Timid Boonee got courageous. How is your confidence for witnessing? Doesn't her story encourage you to just step out and try harder in the strength of Jesus? Forget worrying that you might make a mistake. Don't let it bother you that someone will be upset with you or look down at you for talking about Jesus. Our good news is so special. It's really worth taking the risk. Any possible embarrassment cannot compare with the joy of someone coming to know Jesus. This week, share Jesus. Together, let's reach the world ASAP.